Hello, my name is Robert Pembroke. I'm coming to you from the Palace Theatre on Broadway in New York City. There's a bit of an intermission, so I gave you a bit of space. So I thought I'd give you a comparative literature in relation to the Palace Theatre in New York City, very famous theatre, and let's say the Palais Theatre in St Kilda, Melbourne. They're both very famous theatres. They both have a lot in common too, as you're about to find out. Now, after I've given you this historiography, social history of these theatres, I thought I might offer you a rendition on the stage of Mr. Bojangles, a very famous tune. Okay, so I'll give you the history first. Let me see now. The Palace Theatre opened in the district of Manhatten in 1913. Today, people simply use the term Palace on Broadway. It was the premier venue during the days of Vaudeville and had actors and actresses who would surface out of the turbid flux of irregular consumer demand and supply in the Great Depression, hidden in New York City billboards, where the thespian developed a household name in the newly surfacing technology of radio and television of the post-Depression years in the late 1940s. Let me see now. Actors, yeah? Actors such as the wonderful comedian Mr. Jack Benny, the great singers and musicians known to all as the comedy trio, the Master, and Mr. Bob Hope, the wonderful comedian and himself a person who could string a tune together beautifully. They all cleverly used the limelight of the Palace Theatre to elaborate on acting skills learned in theatre workshops prior to commencement of World War II. Actresses like, the wonderful Mrs. Ethel Waters. Now, not to be confused, nota bene, with, say, the aviation classic of Mr. Robert Pembroke, or indeed, shall we say, the wonderful Ethel Merman, a great opera virtuoso of her time who delivered a powerful vocal range to the audiences on Broadway. Everyone was mesmerised by the duets of the wonderful comedian, himself a great singer, Mr. George Burns, and his spouse, the wonderfully buoyant Mrs. Gracie Owen. They were all a special breed of thespian, vis-a-vis the live act performer, per the realist actor in the dramatology of New York City living in the early 20th century. Today I've shown up at the Palace Theatre in New York City that opened in the same year as the Palais Theatre in St Kilda, Melbourne. Vis-a-vis, both were vaudeville theatres designed and opened in 1913. Although the Palais Theatre is not as opulent in terms of decorative plasterwork and paint colours, it is really the sister theatre of the Palace Theatre of the Crystal Palace exhibition of 1851 in England. The Palace Theatre was inspired by the popular culture of enchantment with olive leaves. It is where we get the idea that people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, since the glass houses of Kew Gardens had been admired for a long time and relied on the inexpensive skill of botany and landscape artists. You might recall the adage that we all rest on our laurels because in life we may be brought to task on matters. So I think about Palais Theatre in Melbourne, the Palace Theatre here in New York City, and there's actually another Palace Theatre in England as well. They all share similar design characteristics. And I'm trying to establish in my mind what came first. Was it the design of the Palais Theatre or the Palace Theatre or the Palace Theatre in London that came first? Which one, yeah? It's tricky, yeah? It's like trying to evaluate an evolutionary sequence in the chicken and egg puzzle. What do you think came first, the chicken or the egg? It's one everyone gets asked in primary school. Yeah, I think I recall the first time I heard that. One factor we're all sure of is that the architectonics of design, the techne of design, exists within a comparative literature of style that reflects the techne of vaudeville. It's a strange style that spread around the world, both globally and generally, and was driven by the development of the city to reflect the Dali and the Dadaism curving their way into the hearts and minds of people in vaudeville. Vaudeville, we may say, was a subculture promoting the development of the popular culture within the city of New York at a time when full employment was seen as rather pie in the sky. Whoa, 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 not coconut cream pie. Obviously, you get the Brits and Mortar surname joke, don't you? The great actress name. This is Arlene Dahl. Same thing, really, isn't it? This is Arlene Dahl, who was symbolic of the avant-garde in Broadway via vaudeville in the day. It was entertainment in an opulent theatre space by future movie stars and sopranos of the operas that provided a system of relief against the melancholy of impending economic recession that was set to commence prior to the formal writ of war in World War II. Nowadays the music has changed and it's a different place, isn't it? It doesn't have the same feel as the early design work intended. However, it's a beautiful place still. I think everyone would say who's been inside that this is an incredible space. And so I was thinking about it and I thought, it really is an opera house, isn't it, that provided a system of relief against the melancholy of impending economic recession, and again, as I said, the formal writ of war in World War II, and it reflected a telling feature in the heredity of human talent and creativity in the arts. Now, I'm a deep fake, okay, but my portrait double of 1751, Otto Domini, occurs in Portrait of a Man by Madame Marianne Lohr, who was indeed herself quite the catch in those days. And of course she was painting one of her opera patrons. I thought I would sing for you now Mr. Bojangles. I'm a deep fake, by the way. Derived from the biography of Bill Robinson, nicknamed Bojangles by scholars of the tin pan handle arts of the early 20th century. He experienced a strange world of fame and infamy, bordering on notoriety, because he was incredibly talented. He was a tall poppy, and it didn't pay to be, you know. He often in his life was repudiated for his enjoyment of Mark Twain and the Southern Negro dialect and humour. The song Mr. Bojangles was developed by Mr. Jerry Jeff Walker as a romanticised exploration into sensibilities about homelessness and poverty in the tin pan handle. So here's the song Mr. Bojangles. Robert Pembroke, Mr. Bojangles. I knew a man, Bojangles, and he danced for you in worn-out shoes, silver hair, a ragged shirt and baggy pants, the old soft shoe. He jumped so high, he jumped too high, and then he lightly touched down. I met him in a cell in New Orleans. I was down and out too. He looked to me to be the eyes of age, a sage who spoke right to you. He talked of life, he talked of life. He laughed, clicked his heels, and stopped. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, dance, dance. We said his name, Bojangles, and he danced a lick across the cell. He grabbed his pants and feather stance. Oh, he jumped so high, and he clicked his heels. He let go, shook back his clothes all around. He danced the rolls in minstrel shows and county fairs. Throughout the South, he spoke the tales of 15 years. How his dog Bingo and him B-I-N-G-O'd about. The dog up and died, Bingo up and died, and after 20 years, both still breathes. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, dance, dance, dance. Picture you upon my knee, just tea for two and two for tea, me for you and you for me alone. Nobody else can me. Picture me upon my knee, just two for tea and tea for two, and me for you and you for me alone. And nobody near us to see us or hear us, no friends or relations or weekend vacations. We won't have it known, dear, that we don't own a telephone. Ooh, day will break and you'll awake and start to bake the upside down cake for me to take to all the boys at sea. Oh, we will raise a family, a boy for you, a girl for me. Oh, can't you see how happy it would be? He said I dance now at every chance in honky-tonks for drinks and tips, but most of the time I spend behind these county bars, 'cause boy I drink so bit. I shook his head, and as he shook his head, I heard someone ask him, please, please, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, dance, dance, dance. Thanks very much.